This is more for Facebook.
Yeah. Okay.
5-4. Friday night, it's Sports Talk with Zeca Marques. Welcome, thank you for being with us. I think we're in for an interesting chat today. Someone that played NFD football, Rio Stars, Tembisa Classics, those were names that people still talk about. Tonight we have in the studio none other than Musa Dlamini. Is that what I would say?
Thank you.
But is it Musa or how do you?
Yes, my full name is Msawe Nkosi Arthur Dlamini. But because of the name being long, I'm being called Musa by most of everybody else that's closer to me.
Musa, look, thank you very much for taking the time off to be here tonight. I know you probably would have been somewhere else. It's Friday night. I guess you would have a few other spots to be, which you'll still join because it's only an hour program. Okay. But Musa, let's start with you. Where does Musa come from? Where did you live? Where were you born? Okay. We'll unpack the rest as we go along.
Yes, I'll try to be brief. Born in Pretoria.
Wow.
But my grandparents were staying in Pretoria. So born in Pretoria at a place called Holy Cross, just off the R80 as you go to Mabopane. But my grandparents came from Atteridgeville, I think Pretoria, Kellis and everybody else. Yeah. But my parents then were staying in Tembisa. So I was born in Pretoria, but I was raised in Tembisa. That's the long and short of it. Yeah.
You played for two interesting clubs.
Yes.
That don't exist anymore when you look at the league.
Yes.
Rio Stars.
Yeah.
And then Tembisa Classics. How was your journey at Rio Stars?
Yeah, the defunct Rio Stars. Yeah, so Zeka, there's even Mamelodi Sundowns in between. So 89, 90, just before I could go to varsity. The Sundowns side that was called, I think they used to be Toyota under 20, 21. There I played with Joas Magolejo, who went on to captain Sundowns. There's Thomas Nare, who was at who was at Baroka as an assistant coach. He's now in the under 17. So all those guys were playing with me in the Sundowns reserve side. Joel Masilela came later. Mambush Muda was our senior.
Wow.
And then there was a guy called Lombis. I think he was an assistant coach at Black Aces. So 89, I'm at Sundowns. That's where I played. And Chiefs, I think we might have played Chiefs in the semis in the under 20. So Chiefs had Shakes Kungwane. They had a younger brother to Chipa Mulatedi, the Mulatedi brothers. I think there are a couple of players there. So 89, 90 I was because I was in Atteridgeville. I played for Sundowns reserves. Shushan and piano was the thing. I think Rasten was there. So at times we'll train with the first team. Then fast forward 92, I find myself at the University of the North. So my mom says to me, "Look, this football thing doesn't work. I know you might have played for Sundowns. In fact, at Sundowns, John Malumbo Lichaba was..."
But let's be honest, in those days, the money wasn't there. Eh?
No, the money wasn't there. John Malumbo Lichaba was my coach at Sundowns reserves. Then my mom says, "You must go to varsity." So it's a tough one. It's an instruction. So 92, I find myself at the University of the North. I didn't even know that there was football at varsity. So when I get there, there's what is called Sovenga Soccer League. So it's a league that is run within the university. There's 12 teams, top players. In fact, Harris Chwewu played for a team called Left and Right at the University of the North, and I played for a team called Sundowns my first season. Then I moved to another team called Benetton. But then from the Tefloop Soccer League, because we've got 12 teams,
yes,
the nearest town it's Polokwane. So as we are playing at school, I'm one of the top players. Then I get recruited to Ria Stars. That's how I landed.
How old was that?
So I arrived at the University of the North as an 18-year-old, 19-year-old. So I played for 2 years at the campus. So 19, I might have been 20, then 21. and Ria Stars has just started to emerge. Ria Ledwaba, his husband Brasillo, Sillo Ledwaba. In fact, he was the man behind the football club. Then when I rock up there was Jakey Styles Ledwaba, the left footer who played at Orlando Pirates. I think he was in the, because Pirates won the 1990 Bob Save. I think he was in that
the
team.
Bob Save,
Yes,
yeah.
He was in the Bob Save. So Jakey is there. Jakey Ledwaba. Then there was a very, very good player. The captain for the team was a guy by the name of Joseph Lukhanyane, playing centre mid. But the best player that came out of that era at Ria Stars was Khasago Banda. He was bought by Jomo Cosmos, and then he also featured for South Africa under 23. So yeah, that is where I spent at least a season in the NFD, because I think we spent one season. Then the next season, because of school commitments and varsity and schedule, I couldn't then go. And that's the year that, when I was in there, that's the year that they got promoted.
Oh.
So,
And how was the NFD in those days? How was football? I mean, the PSL is okay, but I know the NFD. What were the challenges in those days?
there was no... Football has come a long way, and unfortunately or fortunately, I stayed longer in the game, but we'll get to that. So if you look at your journey at a team like Ria Stars, the traveling to games, you are in the deeper north, I think, if my memory serves me well, there used to be two streams. There used to be inland and coastal.
Yes.
So you'll then have to win the coastal stream.
Yes.
Then you'll then play the Devon team. So yeah, the traveling was a bit hard. I think if you remember the teams that were there, Classic I think was there by then. Then you had a team from Northwest. I think it was called Stockbaits. I think there was Stockbaits. So you had a lot of other teams that played. So the traveling was an issue, but there was no money, honestly speaking. And
That's where I was going. What were the salaries in those days? I mean, what made a professional footballer in those days?
Your adversity, Austria will say, can I give you 500 rand or 1,000? And that made you happy, because your adversity, you can be in a position to buy bread, buy other stuff, because
Pocket money for you.
Pocket money, true, because at home, I can tell you, I don't come from a wealthy family. I was getting 100 rands per month.
But that you're an exception, because the professional footballers, because in those days it was already professional.
Yes.
What was an average salary in those days for those guys?
For those guys at the PSL level, for us 500, 1,000 was okay. I think the average then 92, 93, probably 10k was the highest.
Yeah.
I think it was the highest paid.
Which is not a bad salary compared to the rest of the society.
Yes. No. True. At the time, 10k just for playing. It was a lot of money.
Yeah. But it doesn't go far either. If you don't look after it.
Yes, true. It doesn't. If you look after it, it goes far. If it doesn't, then that's it. Because if you look at it, 1,000, 10,000 then, maybe 1,000 in the NFD. A well-paying team in the NFD will pay 3,000 rand. But you look at, if you listen to stories of players at Kaizer Chiefs, they were only paid just to take their trousers to the dry clean. 500 rands there. If you listen to stories of Banks Sitlodi when they talk, you see how far football came. Gate takings were the way of funding their salaries. So yeah.
You're talking about gate takers. It reminds me of the story when I was at Swallows. We used to play at the Rand Stadium.
Yes.
And Mr. Jabedi was the chairman. And straight after the game, they used to bring all the money into the one change room and stand there and count.
Yes.
So you're talking about gate
Yes, you're talking about day kicking, I understand. So there was the days before the grant, Yeah.
And then I think while they were counting, some of them went a little bit to the side, because sometimes the stadium was full and Mr. Jabedi's like, but this thing doesn't make sense, this doesn't add up. But those were the challenges. And the facilities, how were they compared to now? I mean,
the facilities were bad, because I remember at Ria Stars we were coached by a guy just before, we were coached by a guy who came from Zimbabwe, a very good coach, but what he taught you was how you must run at Seshego Stadium, because we trained there and we'd play there. it had potholes everywhere.
Oh my
And
God.
he says to you, you must run on your toes, because if you run on your toes and you train like that, it strengthens your ankles. Then it's injury prevention. But can you imagine? So the pitches were bad, but then the football was good. That's the thing, you know. Fast forward, so I spent 7 years at the University of the North, and I think I spent 2 years at Ria Stars, but because of studies, I then don't continue to play with them. But then I go on and I play. I go back to Amisha. I play at school, but I then play for one guy who's also my teacher. I'm not sure whether you've heard of him. So there was a team called Naughty Boys.
I've heard of Naughty Boys.
Naughty Boys. So I played also at Naughty Boys. So from Ria Stars, I went to Naughty Boys because I was in the North. I played for a season or two. We then win the stream. We also come to play in the playoffs, and in Gauteng, I think the team that came out was a team that Isaac Shai played for.
Yeah.
From David Tono Binoni, you know. So yeah, then I finished school. I come to Tembisa back home. Now I must do my
Now
articles.
you what, 20?
I think I was 25 or so. So the year is 97, 98. So I come back home. I get articles. Then I spend a year or so at Tembisa Classic. Also a season before they could be promoted. I think there was guys like Tumelo Mofokeng, Ryder is his name. And coincidentally, Ryder or Tumelo, I played with him amateur football when I was 14 or 15 at a team called Glory FC in Tembisa. Glory Hlalele was the first woman to play with men. Then there was no women football. So that's the team that I played for as under 14s. So Glory FC. Then I meet Tumelo Mufukeng at Classic. The captain was a young man by the name of Taelo Mutloum, who was the SAFPU president, the union. So I played with him also. He was the captain. Then we had Victor Ntlapo, who's now coaching, I think, Highlands in the
juniors.
No. He's now coaching in the ABC.
Okay.
ABC, yeah, Victor Ntlapo. Then there was a top striker by the name of Tato Maleka. So Tato Maleka and Victor, they ended up at Kaizer Chiefs at the time, or a season after. So yeah, I played one season. I think coincidentally I got injured playing against Swallows. I pulled a muscle. Then I said, probably I must just stick too low now, you know. And I think 97, 98 I did my articles at FM in Brakpan called Geyser de Kok and Nel. That's where I graduated. Then I came back to work in Kempton Park, which was nearer, and I worked for a firm called Maluleke Msima. Yes.
Now tell me, what made Tembisa Classic so popular? Because there was something about the brand. When you spoke about Tembisa Classics, everyone knew Tembisa Classics. What made the brand so big?
Amazing. I think it's a good question, Zaka. First and foremost, we must find out how the club was formed.
Yes.
So it was called Classic because there was a man by the name of Mr. Mate. We used to call him what's Mr. Mate's other name? But yeah, so Mr. Mate with another taxi owner, but Mr. Mate was a football person. So what he did, he then spoke to all the teams within Tembisa. So you had Tembisa Santos, you had Amato, you had Eastern.
Literally played amongst themselves in the league.
Yes, in the league. So he then spoke to all the chairmen. Bra James was his name. So Bra James, he was a football person. He spoke to all the teams and he says, look, I want all the top players. That is why it was called Classic. So it was the classic players within Tembisa.
Okay.
So he then took one player here, two players there, and they all agreed to say, look, we want a team that can represent Tembisa as a township. And I think I can count a couple of players. At Santos, they had a guy by the name of Moses Ndlovu. His name was Soso. So they were the founder players at Classic. Then you had, I think, I'm not sure whether Joe Shilly played. No, Joe Shilly never played at Classic, but Page Mahlangu plays at Classic later when he comes from Sundowns. But yeah, so they took all the top players within the location. They made Tembisa Classic, and there was a bit of professionalism from Brad James. At times he would coach the team. Then there was Paul Matthews. So Paul Matthews was one of the first coaches, the son to Roy. He was the one who...
Roy Matthews, Jomo Cosmos.
Yes, ex-Cosmos.
So this is his son.
Yes, yeah. So Paul was his son. And Paul is now a team manager at SuperSport. But he's not related to Stan Matthews.
Yes.
So I forgot the name before we discussed. Yeah. So Paul was the coach that coached in the season that we were there. Then subsequent to that, the second season, when I was on my way out, then Cabo Zondo came. Then Arthur Zwane came. Then there was David Malatule. There was Stanley Pagati. There was Jonas Mkwanazi. So all those were the spine of Tembisa Classic. So it became the first professional team in inverted commas because to play in the Premier League. If you know Tembisa, I think there was a team called Eastern Brothers.
Yes,
There was
quite a lot of teams.
there was a
there,
team called Golden Eagles.
Yes.
Those played in the old Zambak League.
Yes.
So Tembisa Classic became the first professional team in the location.
And it's interesting you talk about, because we discuss this often about, especially now with football, the way it's changing and so many teams coming along.
Yeah.
I as a football guy, Tembisa Classics resonates with me.
Yes.
And it's a name that stuck with me because, number one, it's got an identity created in the township.
Yes.
So it's a community-based,
True.
it's link. The emotional link is there.
Yes.
So obviously you're going to get success because you have the buy-in.
Yes.
And then I think the name Tembisa Classics just sounds great.
Yes.
I was talking to a friend of mine the other day and I was saying to him, if we had to buy a team in the NFD again, I said the name I would want to, and I would look at playing in Tembisa, would be Tembisa Classics.
True. And because of it's a first team, it resonated with the community, you're right. And I think we were averaging around about 10,000 without failure of spectators a match.
Yeah.
The atmosphere,
it was
the
brilliant.
team, the team would you're right, because the stadium, the stands are next to the field.
The support's on top of the team.
Do you understand?
You feel them.
You understand, and everybody used to come out, and it was a brilliant. It was a brilliant 2 years because they spent 2 years in the PSA.
You surprised lots of people. I mean, Mofo King.
Yes.
He came and he shone. He was like the player.
He had a big engine in him, for a small guy like that to run up and down, Ryder was something else, You're right, people couldn't come out of Tembisa. You cannot mention Tembisa Classic without mentioning Sinki Mnisi.
I was going that route now.
So
Where does he come in? Because he's been around for years.
So Sinki, the two gentlemen bought the team, and at some point they then brought him in to become the marketing guy for the club. So he becomes the old PRO. But he's got an ability to can talk to sponsors. I think, in fact, for the record, where Sundowns is training at
Clerkop, yes.
Tembisa Classic was training there.
Yes.
That facility used to belong to NCP, and Sinki got the team to train there, and we, in one season we would play some of the matches there without using Makulong Stadium, when they were in the NFD. So Sinki came in and he ran the team, and if you probably want to run the team, I think he registered Tembisa Classic at Cipru now, so you've got to fight with him if you want the name.
No, exactly. No, because it goes back to what we talk about when we're talking about certain brands.
Yes.
I mean, Bloemfontein Celtics doesn't exist anymore.
Yes.
That's a brand that supposed to connect with the community, doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And you see less and less of that. I see now Durban City's back to Durban, so the link, that link is there with the community. But the Tembisa Classics, there was just something special about them.
No, they were. The crowd on a daily, the kind of players that, because people want to see players that come within their own location.
Yes.
There was a left-footed player called I know Thabo Matlaba was given the name festival, but the first festival was a guy called Zwane, a left footer at Classic, Mzwake Zwane. So Mzwandile Zwane, yes. So that's people wanted to see players that they grew up, with, because if you're staying in a particular street and you're playing on the day, then you'll get 10 people who will be supporting you at the stadium because they know that this is the child that grew in front of us. So yeah, you're right. It's said that it's no more there, but the atmosphere, the happiness that it brought to that location was amazing. Makulong Stadium was also a top
I used to love watching you guys play because there were players that were creative, which is something you're seeing less and less in football at the moment.
Yes.
There was something special about the brand of football that Tembisa Classics played.
Yes.
And because you had players like
Mofokeng,
and many others.
Yes.
And I think it was just resonated with the community.
Yeah.
You guys went there. It was close.
Yeah.
You felt the emotion.
Yeah.
You felt the love.
You felt the love. Yes, true.
You know,
true.
and that's going to take it to the next level. And
Yeah.
we were talking off air before
Yeah.
we went on
Yeah.
about Black Leopards.
Yes.
How special they are when they play at home in the NFD, and they have 10,000 people.
Yes, not true.
Because they have that link with the community.
With the community, yeah. So you're right to say. I think we went to play Leopards. It was 97, 98 also, and it was a 5 o'clock kickoff late at night with Classic. And you could see the atmosphere that was there. In fact, Classic also had another right winger by the name of Asprilla, I think his son, the guy that played right winger for us, and he destroyed Leopards on the day because the score was 1-1. So his son plays somewhere in Europe. What's his surname? There's a Lebogang who played for the national team. So that's his son. So he's played with Asprilla at Classic. So yeah, you're right. The atmosphere at those small stadiums, and you also spoke about traveling. So this Bra James, I'll tell you a story now. This Bra James, because we didn't have money, so Bra James had a little coffee, fish and chips to call it. So it was at a corner called Tarienzo. So Bra James, whenever we were traveling, even if we're traveling to Leopards, him and the wife will cook pap and stew, and there'll be pots. Then they'll make the pots to stay warm. They will close it with cloth, to say the food will be warm. So when you leave Tembisa at 9, so you know that you'll be eating at 11 or 12 the pap that is cooked by Bra James. So we didn't even have pre-match meal. So you eat that pap, get to Venda, you play, then you get out. So those were.
So you travel on the day and you play, 4 hours,
Yeah, you play
6 hours.
There was no. What do they call it? Match minus match day minus one, and then you go to a hotel. No, you'll travel in the morning. If you're playing because we were playing Leopards at 5 or 6. I don't know. Leopards used to play their games at late at night in Toyando, so maybe so that people can all be at the stadium after they've done their work. So I remember that particular match with Classic. So we left around about 10ish, and you'll get there around about 4. You get into the dressing room. There was no fatigue, nothing. You get into the dressing room, you dish out your football, and you go. Yes, the guy's name there's a Lebogang Piri who played in Belgium or something. His dad was called Asprilla. He played with us, so he's that Piri also. So yeah, you never stayed at a hotel or anything. You play, you get out, you're back on the road.
No camping,
nothing. And
finish the game, drive back same day.
But the football was tops.
Well, this is where I'm going now, because you were talking about the chairman, him and his wife cooking, taking care. That's initiative.
Yes.
You don't see that nowadays. I don't see that the people that are involved in football at the moment do it for the wrong reasons. I mean, here's your chairman at Tembisa Classics, doesn't have money.
Yeah.
He's got a fish and chip shop, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes, true.
What can you afford with that?
Yes.
Okay. But he has the initiative to do the right things. And I think this is where football's lost their way.
It has. I think you spoke in passing about David Chabedi.
Yeah.
So you have a guy like David Chabedi. You had a guy like Mr. Mate. And many more other guys. I think there was a guy in Venda called Rabali.
Yeah, I remember Rabali.
Yeah, there was Rabali.
Yes.
So there was Rabali Blackpool. In fact, in one season when I was playing for Naughty Boys, we went to Rabali owned the stadium. So in one season we went there and I made them not to go into the playoffs because I think I scored a win. I came in as a second half sub. So, but Rabali Blackpool got promoted 2 years down the line. But you are right; those were chairmen, and we used to call them presers. They were the ones that had a love for the game.
It was passion, man.
There was passion.
Yeah.
I coincidentally yesterday I told you about Glory FC. We had a man there called Brabri, right? His name was Bri. He was way ahead of his time also. He will make it a point that he buys you a set of jerseys all the time. If Puma, we used to wear Puma. If Puma brings, and out of his own pocket, So you're right to say now the chairmen, and with due respect to them, with due respect
times have
to
changed.
them, time have changed, but most of them they're in football for they because of. They want to get tenders within a particular city, then they buy a football club. So they don't have really the interest of the club. But when the guys that were there, they just were there to love the community, to love the football, because they raised us. Football raised you because you're playing for a presa who takes the last money of his family and he pays your traveling fare. He pays for your jerseys, He pays for anything that relates to football. So, but the quality also was something else.
No, listen, when you talk about South African football, that was the era. In actual fact, when you talk about world football, that was the era.
Yes, that was the era.
That was the era. Now it's too mechanical, it's too professional, the players are pampered, they don't care, it's all about the money. And I understand why. Football career is a short one, but the club owners, and you see it in Europe as well, you see it worldwide, the guy never kicked the ball, just got lots of money, and he just owns the brand, and he tells people what to do, but he's got no feeling about what football is about.
And the question of a feel, it's a difficult one, and it's there. And I'll make you an example. It's not only in terms of administration, because when you're an administrator, you must have a feel. And I'll make an example. You look at Morocco Swallows, which you happen to coach. David Pine Chabedi used to know what is a Swallows player, and the other day I was lucky to have met, I think, Gavin Estop, their keeper. Yes, I met him
at Edenvale.
Yeah,
he still coaches there.
So I met him and I had a discussion with him, but he spoke about feel, to say, the feel of saying, is this player, can he be a professional? Can he play the style of Swallows? This player, the feel, can he play for Classic? This player, the feel, can he play for Pirates? Because all those players were different.
Yes.
Swallows played their own brand of football and not showboating.
No.
Because if you look at the players, they had AC Mnini, they had Obrima Khopela. They were different players.
Yeah.
You go to Pirates, they had a Chipa Chauke, they had a Zero Mohale. Those are also different kind of players. So the field, the chairmen, the presers, the board, they knew what kind of players will play for this club.
That's why football was different, because they could see, and I use this phrase lately openly, they could see things without their eyes.
Yes, true. They had, and that is what, and Zeca, because you are in football, and we hope that football people will understand. Scouting.
Yes.
As an example.
Yes.
You look at a player, and you must, everybody says he's okay, but you say, no, he's not. Then you look at a second one, and you say, this one, from my instinct, with you have a feel. Your eyes are telling you something else, and
not your eyes.
Yeah,
you're seeing things without your eyes.
Yes, yeah.
It's your gut feel.
It's your gut feel.
Yes,
you understand.
And I was saying this when I was at my academy.
Yeah.
The one day my son and I were chatting, and we looked at the one kid. He came there, and we assessed him, and they were like, "Yeah, it's not great." I said, "I'll turn this guy into a player. This guy's quality."
Yes.
And they looked at me and they started laughing. Dad, come on. I mean, the guy was a bit limited,
Yes.
So I said to him, watch, give me 4 months and you'll see what's going to happen. The end of the year, he won Player of the Year.
True.
And people and when I went, when I actually didn't pick him for Player of the Year, they picked.
Yeah.
And when they said, this is the guy we nominate. Yeah. And I said, whoa, stop.
Yeah.
Let's look back 10 months.
Yes.
What did you guys say? Yeah. I said, I'm not trying to disrespect you. And I said, but this is football. I saw things without my eyes.
Yeah.
You saw things with
your eyes. Yeah.
And that's exactly what you just said about scouting.
That's the difference, Zeca. And I think we need. The other day when you invited me here, we just were talking in passing. I said, look, we need guys like you, and I'll tell you why. Because you've got the feel, probably of a particular club. Unfortunately, Swallows is not there. But wherever you go, there's a guy, I think he's at Sevilla, if I'm not wrong. He was their goalkeeper. He's the one that discovered a player like Alves, who went to play for Barca. Because I think he also discovered Aguero. Because he's a guy that has got the feel, and he knows the feel of the city, the feel of the club,
Yeah.
And that's what in South Africa we are losing. Because slowly, you spoke about Celtics, we spoke about Classic, we spoke about Ria Stars. You have a team like Polokwane City. Where do they belong? They don't belong anywhere. And we know Ria Stars used to belong to Seshego, you had a great team. You had a great team in the north, Real Rovers.
I remember.
Real Rovers from Mahweleri, and is one team which the owner, Mr. Ngobeni, he never saw it play. He paid all the monies, they came with Gerald Rapatlela, they came with, there's a guy called Luther, what's his name? He ended up at Pirates. He was their top goal scorer at Paris, and they had Mandla Mabena. They had the top players, but they belong to a community, and those are the teams which need people like you, Zeca, who would. At Chiefs, they had a guy. They had Ryder Mufokeng, who played for Chiefs. They said half the time, Ryder would say, "This is a Chiefs player." Ace Kuse is there. He's doing their scouting. He also will tell you to say this player can play for this club or not. And other people are not even looking at that. His gut feeling, his sense of knowledge from having played for the club gives him that kind of.
It's an edge.
Yeah,
it's insight.
Yeah, it is.
It's insight,
and we're losing it.
Yeah, and
we're losing it.
That's insight. It's talent. It's creativity.
Yeah.
And that's why you get different type of coaches. You get coaches who, if they don't have those qualities, they can look at a player and they're like, but they're missing something. And the quality players. And if you look at historically, the world's best players have been disregarded somewhere along the line.
Yes, no, a lot of them. I think.
So, and it's interesting that you mentioned that now.
Yeah.
Now, I remember the days I played football in the old NFL. I played for a club called Troyville, and we used to play a lot against colored teams.
Yes.
We used to play against Regen Park. We used to play against in Westbury.
In the Westbury area. Yes.
Against Leeds.
Yeah.
I can't remember, there was another team. Yeah. And I used to look at these guys and I used to admire them.
Yeah.
And now I look and I'm like, where are these teams?
Yeah,
where are these communities?
Yes. And where are the kind of caliber of players? You're right. We're losing it. We're losing it. Our communities. That's why we need to. Maybe South African Football Association need to look deeper. And look, we have a lot of respect for them. I work in that space now also as a legal person. But you need to say the composition of the executive are they football people. And with due respect, some are not, and it is them who must then resuscitate the community. I think the National Soccer League also must look at, say, it's difficult because whenever you talk to the executive there at the PSL, all that they're saying is that, but these people come with their money,
and rightfully so.
Yeah.
Rightfully so,
Yeah.
because no money, no professional game.
Do you understand? Yeah.
But they need to be educated. They need to be upskilled, or at least bringing the right people to run the club for them. The problem I find with most of these guys, and with respect to them, is that they bring someone that is a family member or someone that grew up with them or whatever, but knows nothing about football. So you lose a culture. You start losing your way. You start losing the vision. But Musa, let's talk about your new career, which is not new. You became a lawyer. What made you become a lawyer?
Yeah.
How did it come about?
Yeah, so obviously, as I said, I was at varsity in 92, and I got there. And the funny part is that my first passion was journalism.
Wow.
I really wanted to be a journalist, but I then arrived at the University of the North, which is Teflop. They could only offer law, and that's what attracted me to law. But in the meantime, I then said, I wasn't even sure. I knew the only thing that I knew that a lawyer would do was criminal. That's all that I knew. Then I studied law, and University of the North is not like your Wits University, it's not like your Western Cape, And somehow, I don't know what happened. But when I left varsity, I came back, I did my articles at a criminal law firm. I didn't like it. I then went and I did my professional, what we call the PA now. When I was admitted, I did what is called third party. I liked it a bit, but I said I'm a sports person. And Zeca, I think in the whole country, if you're talking about top lawyers who do sports law, probably I'll be counted in the top 5, because there's one or two guys that do this thing. There's a firm of attorneys in Cape Town. There's a guy called Laric Duplessis. He's a friend of mine, but he was at a law firm in Brazil, which did the image rights and for Neymar. So he has a lot of knowledge of international football. So I ended up wanting. It was a self-created, self-taught kind of situation, because I knew one or two players. Coincidentally, my first client and my first case was, I think, Taelo Mutloung. The second one was Jerry Kosana. That would be 2003, 2004, when Jerry was at a team called... there was a team which fired him, Jerry Kosana. So he's a homeboy of mine also. So yeah, I did Pillars. There was a team called
City Pillars.
City Pillars. So I did the first case for Jerry for Pillars. Then I did the second one for Taelo Mutlu, whom I played with at Classic, and he was now at Cosmos. So when Cosmos fired him, I did those two cases. So those were the first cases that I did from a sports perspective. So yeah, that is now my career. I've not done so. It's a lesson probably that I need also another day if we talk about it. But I'll make an example. You've got the SAFA disciplinary committee. Then you've got the SAFA arbitration. That's what I do. And at PSL you've got the PSL, or the National Soccer League Dispute Resolution Chamber. That's where I also operate in. And I've been lucky to do 2 or 3 matters internationally. So I had a matter done at the Court of Sports, which is the highest court.
In Zurich?
In Zurich, yes.
Yeah.
And then I did 1 or 2 at FIFA, So yeah, that is what I do now on a daily basis in terms of trying to look at the interest of the players. 2004 I was an admitted FIFA agent. Up until 2015 when they did away with the agency staff. But yeah, I'm now a practicing attorney who specializes in sports law.
What are the challenges that South African footballers face on a daily basis?
From a legal perspective, it's a bit complex. I'll try to break it down. So you have the dispute resolution chamber. FIFA says it must be properly, there must be proper representation. What does that mean? That means if you have 6 panel members, there must be 2 chairmen and there must be 4 members. The 2 co-chairmen, they must be appointed, one by the league and one by the union. You have a problem from the union side because our football is not properly unionized. And I'll make an example. You have FIPRU, which is the international union, yes, which owns every single player in Europe. In fact, FIPRU subsidizes SAFPU. So does SAFPU have enough members? The question is no. They don't have enough members. Then there's another union which has now been started by Taelo Mutloung, which is sort of a breakaway from SAFPU. Does he also have enough members? So if the structure, the first challenge is that there must be, if the structure is unionized, then what are you going to have? You are then going to have what you call minimum salary. In the South African context, we don't have minimum salary. Why?
Because in football,
In football, not in South Africa, yes. Overseas you do.
Yeah.
They know the salaries that they must pay. It's because we are not properly unionized. So the clubs still have more authority over the players. And as much as who's the custodian of football? It's the players.
Yeah.
It's the players.
Do you think they take advantage of the players' weakness because they want to play? and they want to earn a salary, and they see it as an opportunity to take advantage of them.
True, the clubs themselves, yes, they do, because then if remember,
And they're desperate. This
and
is
they're
the question.
desperate.
Yeah,
That's the thing, because you get a guy who for the last 3-4 years, he's 23, 24, he's been in the SAB, he's been in the ABC League, you know. If he doesn't make it, or if a team comes and he says we'll give you 5,000 per month, I know of teams in the NFD, which is subsidized by 500,000 per month. They're paying 5,000 rands, which is peanuts. You know?
That's actually
Yeah.
a mockery of professional
Yes,
football.
it is.
And the sad part, and I'm talking now from a coach's perspective, is that I'm supposed to make a winning team out of players who are not happy.
Do you understand what I mean? Who are not looked after.
Yeah.
Because one is the salaries.
Yeah.
As you rightfully say, you spoke about. I'll tell you the other difficulty about football, and I'm always reluctant not to want to refer to overseas. But let's look at it like this, Zeca. You're a coach. You are a businessman. You do talks. You know. You are refined by life itself. Chairmans, they then go, and it's their money, we don't have a problem. But in football, your biggest problem is that there is no qualification. A guy can be a manager, a guy can be an advisor, a guy can be an advisor to a chairman.
It's so true.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
And when you ask the chairman and you say, but chairman, I see you speaking to this guy on a daily. What's his profession? What has he done? And you, what you get nothing. I'll make an example. You coached at the highest level. But besides me being a lawyer, I'm not sure whether you know, I was a CEO at a club called Garankuwa United.
Right, I don't know that.
Right? Then Malesela started his professional coaching with me as his CEO. We went to lose to Kaizer Chiefs in the semi-finals of the Nedbank Cup, right? 2012, I think. 2012 season when Chiefs won the double. We lost in the semi-final. But what is it that I brought to the club? I brought professionalism. I brought what you call feel, because I play, right? And we did well to an extent that we went to the last four of the National Cup, you know, the Nedbank Cup. Then fast track 2021, 2022, I joined. It was called Platinum City Rovers. Go and look at the log. For the first 15 games, I was on top of the league as a CEO. To this day, now they got relegated, you know, I think last year. To this day, the chairman of the club never called me to say, you know, up until December when we were number one, he started not to pay my salary. And I said, you know what, I've got a lot of other work. But I'm just trying to show you to say, he was number one. He saved his status. By the time at 14 games, I think we went 13 games unbeaten. And when we lost a game, we were sitting on 25 points, I think, when December came. So to show you, to say, our chairmans and the difficulty in football is that they don't have qualified people, because you must have a field, you must have worked. FIFA also offers courses in administration, you know, not only in coaching.
No, lots.
Yeah.
I mean, the Portuguese Federation have a list of coaching, not coaching courses that they do.
Yes.
A list of.
Yes.
In actual fact, it's almost compulsory now in Portugal.
Yes.
If you want to be a sports director, you need to do the course.
Yes.
It's offered by the Portuguese Federation.
Yes.
Over and above that, most of them do it outside.
Yes.
But having said that, the biggest challenge for these guys is that they don't respect.
Yes.
They take people for granted and they undermine people. So those three is a recipe for disaster. They don't respect the players. The players are their assets.
Yes.
They want them to produce results on Saturday. And disrespect them by not paying them a decent salary and by giving them conditions that will make them want to perform. So
And at times not being paid on time.
Oh yes, that's another challenge.
Do you understand?
Yeah,
because you're paid 5K.
Yeah,
Let's assume you're paid 5,000. You are not happy with it, but then it doesn't come.
Yeah.
For instance, at Platinum City Rovers, I don't know what was the chairman's, because after I left, the players were played very well up until December, but after I left and 2 years down the line when I wasn't there, I was told that when you sign a contract, which is a 12 months contract worth 120,000 rands, if it's 5K or whatever, you'll get half of it. You'll get 60K. because he pays you 1 month, he doesn't pay you the next one. He pays you 1 month. So you understand the disrespect. So you asked me to say, where is our football going? If we're paying our players in time, our players are happy, because we must give credit to the National Soccer League. We must give credit to SAFA to a certain extent, because there's a grant. Now you don't run the team out of your pocket. And how does the grant come about? The grant come about from the selling of the rights to televise the matches, And the problem is that this is a 500,000 that must belong to the team. But the chairman also, he has a 50% on the grant. So that's why he doesn't pay his players.
Well, I always say this. When we discuss football with my colleagues and friends and so on. It's 500,000. 300 is for me, thank you, and 300 is for the team.
Yes.
Now I'm going to pay everyone else.
Yes.
And still look after the squad as far as travelling and all those expenses that. And I must tell you now, I respect Mr. Didier a lot.
Yes. Yes.
When I was at Leopards, I had a great time.
Yeah.
He's a difficult chap.
Yes.
He
Yes.
just likes things the way he wants it.
Yeah.
I think he's old school,
Yeah.
but I give him credit, and that's why I respect him.
Yeah.
Because he pays the players on time, he looks after the players,
Yeah.
he gives players bonuses, and if he promises, he delivers.
True.
And that's the one thing I give him credit.
Yeah.
And that's why you see Leopards up there sometimes. But then you get others, and we spoke off air about some other clubs,
Yeah.
they just don't respect them, but they want results.
Yeah.
And this is, the people have lost, these club owners have lost the humanity side, the human side of the game. And once you use the human side of the game, what are you doing?
Thank you, Zeca. I think that's key. You have read, but you see, because you are a football person, you will understand, because before a player can play, he's a human being.
Yeah.
Before you can even look at science of scientific science, he's a human being. And I'll make an example. When I was at Platinum City Rovers, what I did, I said to the chairman, when we travel, pre-match meals or breakfast, how do we do it? He said, no, we can buy a plate on the street. I said, but we don't know who cooked it. So if the meal is cooked with love, and the players see that you put an effort on it, they then love it.
It's called care.
Yes.
If you care about me, I'll care about you.
I care about you. I will go to an extent of even going to buy, just for the road trip. You say, look, this is how they're gonna eat. I will, as a CEO, I will design a menu, and I would have spoken to a dietitian, because we had a woman who was a biokinetist there. We would design a breakfast for them. We will tell them when are they gonna eat on mid road when we're traveling. I'll even go, Zeca, and get donuts, get muffins, get juices, even at a lesser price, out of my pocket, which was a salary that I was getting. The club wasn't even contributing. They'll only buy food for the other stuff, but for the peanuts, for the sweets, for the road, because the care part talks to the scientific part also, to say lactic acid.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm going to interrupt you.
Yeah.
The care part
Yeah.
surpasses the scientific part.
Yes.
Because without the care, the scientific part does not work.
It don't work.
No,
You understand
it
what I
doesn't.
mean?
Yeah.
So what you buy them, what you put them in there. So they look and say, but they care. They don't even know that scientifically you are making them to be stronger, but they are looking at the care, and the love.
Yes.
You understand? So we need a bit of that to come back.
Yes.
We need a
No,
bit
absolutely.
of that to come back.
And when I talk to players, and on a regular basis, some players will phone me just out the blue. Sometimes it's agents.
Yeah.
Coach, I'm having this problem. What do you suggest?
Yeah.
About? And I'm like, guys, you're at the wrong club.
Yeah.
If the club doesn't care about you,
Yes.
you're at the wrong club.
Yes.
And that's the bottom line.
Yes.
And I feel for our players. In actual fact, I feel for everyone involved in the football industry.
Yes.
The kit managers sometimes are disrespected and taken for granted, and they've got probably the hardest job in the club.
Yes. Yes.
People go, oh, he's a kit manager. No, you got to respect this guy. I remember when I was at all the clubs I was, by the way, I still respect them because of the hard work that they do.
Yes.
Because if they fail, we're in a crisis.
In fact, he's your main guy.
He's my main guy.
He's your main guy because wherever at clubs that I was, you give them extra responsibility.
Yes.
The dishing out of the fruits on the road. You're right to say now there is recovery. The bins for recovery, for the ice bath. You understand? They must take care of that. But they are so important. If you get there without a jersey, it's a walkover.
It's a walkover.
It's a walkover.
Yeah.
It's a walkover. But
Yeah.
but you're right to say if you even look at the the last guy in the team, which might be, yes, your kid manager, but he's so important.
He's the most important guy.
You understand? I looked at you. You spoke about Devon City. I went to watch them. Some few. I think Simo Dladla is the coach there, and my son happens to. He might sign with them. But I went, and their kid manager is that guy called Zola, who was with Maritzburg, you know. And I went to watch them play in the heat in Rustenburg. You know, he had towels so that the players can put on their neck when it's a 15 minutes break, you know, for a water break. So you're right to say kid managers, but do we train them? Zeca?
No, we don't.
Because we also need to train them,
Yes,
you know. Some of them are passionate, but you
Yes.
need to train them to tell them to say, this is how I want your things to be done, and this is how you must relate with the players. Because and at times you can even get certain information from him, which he gets from the players.
So I worked very closely with there's two people I work very closely with when I go with a team.
Yes.
The one is the team manager, the other one is the physio.
Yeah. Yes.
And the team manager for me, not the team manager, the kid manager.
The kid
for
manager,
me
yes.
is the most important.
Yes.
Because he's on the ground, he knows everything. And
Yeah.
I used to, when I was at Swallows, we had a guy called Junior.
Yes.
Listen, this guy was passionate. He was
Yeah.
quality. Junior
Yeah.
was quality. Old school.
Yeah.
Junior came when Taberi era.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Yes.
But listen, he was on top of his game.
Yeah.
And I used to go say, Junior, what's happening with the players? And he
Yeah.
say, Coach,
Yeah.
Musa, no, he's complaining a bit. Okay,
Yeah.
leave it with me, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And then, Musa,
Yeah.
what's going on? You know,
Yeah.
I used to get that
The
inside information.
Yes.
But you're right. The kid managers are not. I used to make it a point to educate them as well.
Yes.
When I go, guys, how do you wash the clothes? What do you do? In the change room, make sure you put it like this. It just looks good. Fold the jerseys. It's just presentable. The players walk in, they go, wow, this looks nice.
Yeah.
You know, just don't put the jersey on their hanger.
Yeah.
It doesn't look that nice.
Yeah.
So, and you got to skill them. And that's taken for granted because he's probably the lowest paid guy
Yes.
in the team
Yeah.
because he's probably unemployed. The chairman feels sorry for him, gives him a job and said, okay, become the team, kid manager. And the guy, it's a living.
Yeah.
But in Europe, a kid manager is a professional.
Yes, they are. So that's why I'm saying our football, Zeca, because me and you knows it. You know who's important in the whole system, in the whole ecosystem. You know, so a kid manager is a guy that not many people talk about it. Talk about them. If you ask who's a kid manager at Pirates, if you ask who's a kid manager at Chiefs, nobody knows them. You know, but they are very, very, very important, and I think they need to be upskilled. And they need to be respected.
No, when you're talking about upskilled, I think football at the moment is so dysfunctional, and I'll break it down for you. They get a coach who's now, some of them are qualified.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And everyone around him is incompetent.
Yes.
But they want results.
Exactly. But that is you see we need to go back because history is a good teacher, and I'll tell you why. You had a guy like at Free State Stars as an example. Go and look at the Free State Stars coaches. Mike Mukwena never bought players. He will bring players that are average, but he always had a top coach. You had Roy Barreto there, who made Free State Stars to be a better team, and he went on to win a league with Pirates. You had Augusto Palacios, who was at Free State Stars. He went on to
Was Augusto at Free State Stars?
Yes, Augusto Free State Stars. Augusto before he came to Chiefs, because he was at Aces as a player coach when he arrived.
I saw him play.
Yes.
Let me tell you the story about Augusto as well. I'll go there.
Yeah.
The one day I was watching football on SABC. In those days it was SABC.
Yeah.
And I see Black
Aces
playing with Black. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah.
And in the middle of the field, he has this slightly
Yeah.
lighter colored guy playing, but
with
elegant,
an afro.
with an afro.
Yes.
And he was just playing.
Yeah.
And I looked, and I must have been about 20 years old.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm 60 now.
Yeah.
And I looked, I'm like, wow, this guy can play.
Yeah.
And I was looking for the name on the jersey.
Yeah.
And the next minute, Palacios.
Yeah.
And I said, no, this guy's South American.
Yeah.
That's why he's playing with that swagger.
Yeah.
Because South Americans play with swagger.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, well, this guy's quality.
Yeah.
Then I saw him play again.
Yeah.
And then the rest is history.
Yeah.
So
I watched him play. I think he had a guy, when he came to Aces, he had a guy called Sergio Novoa.
Yes, Sergio Novoa.
Yeah.
Sergio Novoa, yes.
So the Aces, And you see about spectators and all, because ACs used to play from Linville, so they will sing a song. There was a song they would say, Junova, my daughter. So that was a song that they used to sing there. Yeah,
Sejonova, yes.
yeah. So they'd say Junova, and then Augusto from there, he went to, after coaching ACs, I think he went to Free State Stars, and he did well there. But it was a vision that Mike had, and they had Nyama, the coach, So he had top coaches. So I'm saying to you, you're right about the dysfunction, to say you bring a coach but you don't bring support. But Mike knew that he was bringing a coach, but he never had the players. And the players, this coach must produce the players because the coach was upscale. But if you've been to Free State Stars and you look at them, so I went, I think I'll tell you now, Zaka, 93, 94, I went for trials at Free State Stars. So I think Serame Letswaka was just about to finish. The guy who recruited me there is the late Tato Mokwena, but I played with Fees because I played with them at varsity level. So at varsity level, I also represented South Africa and internationally, So then you had guys like Fees Moloi, Sophia Dallis, you remember Sophia Dallis?
The name is familiar.
Yeah, he was at Celtics. So they played so they played for Free State and we played for Northern Province, So but I'm just saying to say, you look at a style, because if now you're older than me, you are 60, so I'm 52. But for the last, probably you minus what? For the last you minus 10 years, but you say for the last 40 years I've been in football. Playing football. And that is why if I become a CEO like you tap from things that people they are not written on the book. You tap from those. And that is your gut feeling, whereby you say, okay, Jens, this is my structure. This is how I want it. This is how I'm going to do my recruitment. This is the support staff that I want. Because support staff is also important. But we don't have those people. The only people that we get who now are involved in football, they come in football by accident.
Yeah.
I don't think me and you, people don't know in the show, we still play over 50s.
Yes,
over
walking
50s
football.
walking football. But from there, Zeca, and you guys play with guys that have played at Lusitano,
Yes.
and you tell me where you play. Do you understand? But these are football people, and if I have a football team, why can't I say, Zeca, I'm going to be the president of this club, but because there's something that I know about you. There's something that I know you have, and it's not taught at school. I bring you on board. But you look at all the other clubs, except your bigger clubs. I think at Sundowns they've gone on to go for the legends. But also there's a
That is, by the way, the Legends
Yeah.
concept in Portugal backfired.
Yes, it did. But it did, and I was getting to that. It's a double-edged sword.
Yes.
Because some of the guys that they've played, they rely only on having played. It's a curse. If you have played, you must upskill yourself. To say, am I a good administrator? Am I a good coach? Because the other thing which becomes a problem with the guys that have played, as much as we're looking for talented players, aren't we looking for talented players for the club? Do we really look for talented coaches? We don't.
No, we don't.
We don't.
They don't know what a talented coach
is. Do you understand what I mean?
They look at the CV.
Yes, but your CV doesn't mean that.
No.
But also, some of them, their CVs are not even good.
Yeah.
But I don't want to mention names. If you look at the list of your PSL teams, you find that there's 4 or 5 guys. I know FIFA has said, or CAF, in fact, CAF said to SAFA, a guy who must sit on the bench must have at least a level 2. And you saw when Royal AM was playing in Africa, Dan and Cabo Zondo couldn't sit on the bench. And the guy that sat on the bench was who had his CAF B. Is a guy, what's his name? Wayan Teo. Who, Waya's got a CAF 2. By then, Dan Malisela and Cabo Zondo didn't have. So you are right to say we must also have qualifications. But the biggest thing, Zeka, is that as much as we love sports and we love football, the question that we must all ask ourselves, and that is where people don't respect, say, consultants. There must be consultants who must talk to these clubs and say, I can set up a structure like this for you. The PSL, they have the money. They probably might have the consultants, but they must say, what is it that we want to upskill coaches, to upskill kit men, to upskill whoever that works within the football structure.
You're so right. Let me tell you, I was in Angola 5 months ago.
Yes.
On a sports conference,
Yes.
and my talk was about sustainability in football.
Yes.
And part of the group was a guy from La Liga, and I actually thought to myself, La Liga, what's this got to do with us here in Angola, especially in Angola?
Yes.
Anyway, so I got chatting to him. Wow, was it an eye opener?
Yes.
What La Liga does?
Yes.
Four.
Yes.
Number one, they're a consulting firm.
Yes.
They consult.
Yes.
They're not just a league.
Yes.
So they created a wing,
Yes.
consulting wing,
Yes.
worldwide.
Yes.
It's crazy. La Liga, you buy the program, you buy them to be consultants. They're consultants.
Yes.
There's a fee.
Yes.
They went to a club in Angola called Petro Luanda.
Yes.
They revolutionized the whole administration.
Yes.
Everyone turned around completely. They went there and said, right, let's look at your structure.
Yes.
The guy actually said to me, the youngster said to me, when I went to Petro, they were a team.
Yes.
When we left, they were a club.
Yes, they were just a team. Yeah, you understand. So, and do we really want to invest in that? That's what we must invest in.
And they're part of it now. They're now part of the Angolan Federation to restructure Angolan football.
Yeah.
And then off air, he says to me, let me give you a little bit of background here. The Portuguese Federation, very quietly, it's not known to anyone, but now it is, because you and I are discussing, and it's going out worldwide. It's going out.
Yeah.
He says, the Portuguese Federation, La Liga helped them restructure.
Yes.
But it was an agreement between both countries, governments, not to publicize it.
To publicize it, yes.
It says, this club in Portugal, we consult. That club in Portugal, we consult. And I'm like, what? Is that what you do? He says, this is La Liga now, my friend. This is the future of football.
Yes.
We are restructuring football as a consultancy organization. And you're right. In South Africa, there is no consultancy.
No, there's none. When you consult with them one day and they think they know, because let's look at it this way. You look at La Liga, they had the under 12 or 13s now playing in America in one tournament. That's what you then are giving the young boys global exposure, because they're going to play international. You look at Portugal, Revelatio, the under 23 league. Right?
Yeah, Revelação.
Right? And then you look at it in the South African context. Can you consult with PSL and say, I don't think you guys are doing right, because the so-called Diski Challenge is played by only the teams in the PSL, but in Portugal is played by the teams in the PSL and in the second division. And if you are good enough and you have a good structure, if you're in the third division, they allow you to play in the Revelatio, in the under 23. So that's the future of football, you understand? And it's the future of football for the clubs, it's the future of football for the national teams,
You know, the difference between South Africa and I would say a lot of the rest of the world maybe, let's talk about football countries, is that they plan for the future.
Yes.
We plan for the present.
True.
You're going to fail.
Yeah,
if you're playing in the present, you're going to fail.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm very fortunate that I have a lot of friends in Portugal, and we discuss them. And the chairman of Farense is a personal friend of mine, and we just chat football.
Yes.
And I'm always updating on what's going on there. And the Revelação, that is so true.
Yes.
And I said to him the other day, João, what's the idea of this? And this is about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Because he asked me about, he's looking for under 18 players in South Africa.
Yes.
So I said, well, your better ones are in the PSL teams.
Yes. Yes.
That's the fact.
Yes.
There you have to buy them.
Yeah.
Then you have to start scratching.
Yeah. You've got to start. Yeah. You're not sure whether this boy can make it or not.
There's no proper development. There's no proper structure. There's no. So it's an unknown situation. But that's when he said no, because we want to put them in the Liga Revelação.
Yeah.
And then groom them there.
Yes.
I'm like, okay.
It's a good idea. So I'm saying there's a if they'd hired, if any team hire me and you as consultants,
do you want to give us? Can you give them the number now?
No, but if they know who you are, because you'll set it up. You'll say this is the structure, this is what we want, this is our idea. Whom do we collaborate with?
But you're talking about consultants. Sometimes not even consultants. Sometimes just a sports director who knows what he's doing. Not just a sports director for the sake of being a sports director.
Yeah, true.
And I've spoken to a few, by the way, and I'm like, so what do you actually do?
Yes.
Well, and they're talking in riddles.
Yes.
And I'm like, you're a sports director.
Yes.
What is your portfolio?
Yes.
What is your function? What should you be doing?
Yeah.
Well, the chairman asked me to do this. I said, no, my friend, you're not a sports director. You're just someone's Go-to boy.
You understand? So that's why I'm saying we need to have structures, because also, Zeca, we haven't really improved. Except for, I think Sundowns have brought the guy who was at Chelsea now, Chiefs.
Doesn't that tell you a story?
Do you understand? And their success, and you look at the youth.
Doesn't
the youth,
tell you a story?
Do you understand? But then you look at anybody else, we call them technical directors. They don't do their job,
No.
They don't do their job, and they don't. And with due respect to them, you find a guy, when they bring him as a technical director, you must know that he's going to coach the team in 2 months' time. He doesn't put up structure whereby he says, "Look, this is what I want. This is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to remodel the recruitment for the youth. I'm going to remodel the playing concept. I'm going to look for my coaches." Because at times, as a sports director, you need to have people that share your vision, And what if they don't share your vision? And in most cases, even at bigger clubs, I don't want to mention names.
Right.
You find that there's a head of development, but all the youth coaches don't share his vision.
No, exactly that. And that's because there's no culture in the club.
Yes.
And we have to go back to Europe,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, he's the head of football development at FC Porto.
Yes.
And we talk about these things often.
Yes.
And I said to him, Philip, but what is your function?
Yes.
He said, no, my function
Yeah.
is to make sure that all the coaches align with the club vision.
Exactly.
So I said, do you go on the field? I said, if I need to, I do.
Yes.
I said, but I don't go on the field. I'll watch from the outside.
Yes. Because you give them microcycles.
Yes.
You mesocycles, and you say, this is what it is. If it's a passing drill from under 6 to under 7, this is how it must be done, In fact, there's a guy, I don't know whether you know him. What's his name? He's a Portuguese like you.
Where? At Sundowns?
No, there was a guy who was at Balfour. What's his name?
Oh, George Patricius.
Top.
George.
George, because at some point when my son was there, George will give you a microcycle for the month.
No, George was passionate
for the
about
month. Do you understand?
I used to laugh at him because
Yeah.
he talks with passion.
Yes. No, but he does it with passion.
Yeah.
I worked with him.
Yes.
Yes.
And when we go for coffee, I know George very well.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, George, you've spoken enough now. Because he's just like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I'm like, George, but sometimes you got to take the foot off.
Yes.
But I agree.
But you need a guy like that.
You
like that because I learned so much when my son was I think I coached under 7s or under 8 at Balfour. But George will give you a program for the month.
Yeah.
And he will walk around and say, are you doing the passing drill or not? Imagine if that is happening at a bigger club,
And interesting you say that Balfour went through a patch where they were successful.
Very, very successful. And you look at the players that they produced.
Yes.
I think Sheikh Skungwane was at Balfour at some point.
Yeah.
Brian Baloyi was at Balfour. It was the George's era.
Yes.
I know one of his sons played in Holland.
Yeah.
But
so when we talk about dysfunctional,
Yeah.
can you see how dysfunctional it is?
It is, yes.
So we want results.
Do you understand? So Zeca, guys like you, guys like George, he's into construction. He's not in football now.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Exactly,
You can talk about a lot of other guys that I have met and at ACES you have who? Who's at ACES?
Tony.
Tony, you're right. You have Tony also structured. You understand? But those guys does suffer. Look at it.
No.
How far? How can they do? And you have a lot of others in Tembisa who are running their small little facilities. So we need an Indaba. I know the new Mr. Steenbok, the new technical director at SAFA. He spoke about having a SAFA Indaba, but that Indaba must also be held in conjunction with the National Soccer League, and we take our football somewhere.
Musa, it's come to the end. I always say time flies when you're having fun.
True.
I enjoyed this chat, really. It was great talking to you. A lot of insight into the good old days, and I talk about the good old days because they were Rio Stars, Tembisa Classics, history, tradition.
Yes.
Thank you for being part of the show tonight. And we'll see each other somewhere on the field. I know. I watch you play, and I always admire you because your team can play. By the way, they can play. But Musa, thank you very much.
But thank you for inviting me, Zeca. I hope we do it again sometime.
We will.
Or hopefully we work at one club together so that we can.
I'll leave it in your hands.
Thank you.
Well, that comes to the end of the show. That concludes our show for tonight. Thank you for joining us. Remember, whatever you do, be considerate. And always remember that character matters. Good night.